everybody. I'm Vic Pratt, and I've been at the BFI since the dawn of time. Well, since 1998, right? So as near as damn it to the dawn of time. I'm one of the ones from last century. So I've done a load of jobs here, many jobs. Since 2016, I've been a producer working in BFI video publishing. Blu-rays and DVDs originally, and now UHD as well, which I'm really delighted to see is a growing market. We're really happy to see that. I'm here to tell you a bit about what a producer does. Now, to be honest with you, before I started working in the video team, I had little or no idea what a producer was. I mean, you know what a director is, you know what an actor is. I didn't know what a producer was, but I had seen a film about the subject though. So I thought it might be like this. That's certainly what I hoped it was going to be like. You know, if you've seen Mel Brooks's film, The Producers, you might think that being a producer is all about gorgeous gals, gorgeous guys. I mean, look at Zero there. I mean, lovely. Glamour, oak-panelled offices, getting rich, and best of all, smoking big fat cigars. Oddly enough, though, I quickly discovered that being a producer was nothing at all like this. I mean, this has not even happened at the BFI offices. And we've never even had the opportunity to really springtime for Hitler, you know, which was always my dream. But I quickly found out, in fact, that being a producer was a lot more like this. That's what it's actually more like. Now, I'm sure you all know who this is, right? This is the legendary plate spinner Benny Schumann, right? He's seen here about 1968. You should look him up on YouTube because he's got a great act, right? He has glass bowls on the top sticks, which he puts up one at a time. And then he puts these sort of plates down the bottom, which is kind of unusual for a plate spinner. And he whacks them on the table and they all start spinning. And he has the whole top row and the whole bottom row, and he sort of leaps across there like some kind of crazy Marcel Marceau guy. And it's just the most amazing act. Anyway, so yes, folks, video production is just like this, except for the fact that it doesn't involve kitchenware. But I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is that you have to do a lot of things at once. So the producer's job usually begins with a film. Sometimes a new film, Starvaker we've done recently, but often an old film. And I guess that's probably where my heart really lies with old stuff. It may be a classic of world cinema. Perhaps it's a rediscovery waiting to be made. Thanks to our expert colleagues in the technical department that you're going to see next month, or the folks in the archive are really devoted to their craft. Whatever the film is, or the TV program, whatever, it's going to be super spruced up. It's going to be looking as zingy and wonderful as it possibly can be within our time, resources, budget, and the material that exists. We've got something really good here, and my job is to see that it's released on BFI disc to its best possible advantage, accompanied by what is called in the business, you know all this already. Additionality is a word that, you can't play it in Scrabble. And if you type it into the dictionary, it's not there, but it's a thing. It's additionality. This is all the extra stuff that you get on discs. I generally call them extras. But I think the thing that you really realize is that when you're trying to sell a new film, you're probably going to be packaging some stuff that's a bit different to what you're going to be packaging with an old film, because a lot of the films we've done, people have got them already, right? So why would I double dip on this film, right? So you've got to think about new ways of adding value, adding content, adding things that you want to have that disc, because what we want, and you'll know this term, we want to make it a day one purchase. You're aware of this term, I hope? No, I wasn't until I came here, but they told me you'd all be aware of it. So anyway, that's what it's called, a day one purchase. That's so you get your pre-order in and say, I must have Cooking Price-Wise. Well, that's what I would say anyway. The physical media aficionado, people who love objects, people like you are our key audience, and I thank you. The kind of on-disc extras I could curate, curate's a popular word these days, everyone's doing it, The kind of on-disc extras I could curate could include old or newly recorded interviews. They might be with cast and crew. There could be audio commentary tracks. Just did a great one with Jason Wood on Kronos because he's a big fan of Mexican cinema. So we've just done a new one for that. Introductions by film experts. Got a great new one on the Kurosawa films with Jasper Sharp, who's really good on Japanese cinema. Image galleries, video essays, outtakes. That's good if you can get outtakes. Archival extras. Now, one of the things we really like to do at the BFI is short films linked with the main feature in some way, thematically or by the same personnel. And I'll always tell you this, the BFI is the best archive in the world. I absolutely say that to anybody. I don't care what anyone says. BFI is the best archive in the world, and we have the greatest repository of brilliant bits of film that anyone has anywhere. And I'm sorry, I'm not gonna take any objection to that. I think it's the best. The BFI is the best in that sense. Now, the rights to some of this stuff, like the CFF, Children's Film Foundation, we have the rights to those. We are the representatives of that collection. Stuff like the COI is ours. You know, we can use that. MOI. So public information films, they might be things that we can dip right into. British transport films, they're stuff that we can dip right into. And a lot of these have been remastered in good quality, which is another factor when you're looking for extras. You want it to look good on the disc, right? Because we all want that disc to look really good. Sometimes, though, you have to license stuff in, which is when I talk to people who have stuff. They might have filmed an interview with someone that we'd really like to include. They may, they may have a little film that they made once upon a time. There may be something that we can license through going through various people. There might be members of people's family who have back behind the scenes footage for the Michael Powell set that we just worked on. We reached back right into the Pressburger family films to get some footage of Powell and Pressburger. Powell's on the camera and Pressburger is behind it, of them touring in Argentina in the early 50s, which is a kind of a little leap from the actual era of the Powell quickies, but it's a kind of fascinating insight into their relationship as much as anything, I think. That's the disc side of things. Now, I'm also responsible for putting together the booklet, which will accompany the disc. And this involves commissioning people to write about the film, perhaps reprinting archival pieces, bits from books, bits from magazines, gathering together images, credits, technical data, and perhaps most important of all, this is the most important thing, the acknowledgements page. Because my main task is to make sure that no one who deserves to get thanked doesn't get thanked by accident. So, this is the key thing. That's the thing I like to spend the most time on, because it's really important to thank people. So that's what we try and do. So there's a lot to do, but we have a great dedicated team to do it. Now, I liaise closely with the technical team who oversee all our digital assets. So they make sure they're shipshape and they move them about. And I, as a producer, I also liaise with the authoring house. So Visual Data, perhaps, White Label, Engine House. They're the ones who are going to be building the disc. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of the middleman between our technical department and the authoring house to shift this stuff around. Now, I'm also going to be in conversations with them about what are we going to have on the menu screen? What's going to be on the disc label? The menu screen is quite a key factor. You'll remember that once upon a time, every menu sort of went around in a circle and there was all sort of singing and dancing and sort of rain falling and people jumping about. And you quickly grew tired of that, didn't you? I mean, that sort of thing. Oh my God, do I have to see Sergeant Bilko's theme tune again? I've got this Sergeant Bilko set, and every time I'm like, I can't stand that. And same with my Man from U.N.C.L.E. set. I don't want to hear the Man from U.N.C.L.E. theme again. So I have to pause it and stop that. So I think it's a good thing now that it's pretty much still images on those menu screens, and we try and keep abreast of developments in those menu screens, with the exception of the flip sides, which I think we're keeping in a kind of retro styling there. I mean, we've made some variations with Cooking Price-Wise just because having menus was just too good a thing to miss, right? It's a menu on a menu. You get where I'm going with that. But so we sort of did a slight variation, but generally your flip side menu is a little more blocky and arrowy. So I guess that's what the kids call retro, right? That's like a retro menu. So that's our excuse anyway, and we're stuck with it. I'm also going to talk to the authoring house about subtitles. So that's if we're doing a Kurosawa, that's going to be subtitles in the English language, so you can follow it if you're not Japanese speaker, or also hard of hearing subtitles, which is kind of slightly different. Maybe, as Ben said, we'll have them supplied. Often we have to generate them. So, often I'm chasing after guys, Lindsay Vickers with The Appointment. Lindsay, have you got a copy of the script? You know, because if you can give me the script, it's going to reduce the subtitling cost by £2 a minute. And so this poor 80-year-old man has to go and find the script in his cupboard. But he did, and it was great. So as the disc nears completion, I'm trying to keep everything on track and on deadline with Ben and John and everybody else and the authoring house. And I'm thinking, when's the copy editor been hired to come in? Because, we want to get him in at the same time. So I'm also watching the new versions of the disc as it's being built. So I get version 1 and I'm thinking every time I press the menu button, it just jumps into the end of the extras or half the extras missing. You know, when we did the Woodfall set, it was quite a key, I think it was a short Lindsay Anderson on there, and the title was just gone. You know, it's like somehow it got lost in the encode. So we're not going to sign that one off today. You know, let's get that one back and work on that one again. So I'm working with the booklet editor as well. So we're going to get the disc ready to go on the deadline date, and we're going to get the booklet to go and all the art, the print, to go on the deadline date as well. Now, it may be difficult to believe when you see assembled this crack team before you, but sometimes we go a bit close to the wire. We don't always hit those deadlines. I mean, it can happen. You know, very rarely, of course, but it can happen. We might run a bit close to the wire sometimes, and it can get a bit hectic as those deadlines approach. Check the disc, check the subs, check the booklet, hit the deadline. Don't forget all the other releases you're doing at the same time. And it's your turn to buy the biscuits. You know, so basically, as Benny Schumann might say, you've got to keep those plates spinning. What a great act that is. But you know what? We don't mind, right? Because we love cinema and TV and films and collecting stuff. That's a key thing here. We love collecting stuff. I love collecting stuff. These guys love stuff. It's great. I love to have a sort of an object which has a beginning and an end, and it's put together with love, and you can sort of think, wow, I've watched that film and all those things around it, and I've read the little booklet. I think that's a really, really cool thing about the internet. You're just going off in spirals everywhere. You know, an object, a record or an LP or a book, it starts and it finishes. I've done that. It's great. I think that's great. Completion. I love that about discs. So anyway, the thing is, right, it's a lot to do, but we're devoted to this and we really want to make all those discs as good as they can possibly be. That's why we devote all this love and care and attention. I promise you, we really do. I should note, though, love and care and attention is expensive, you see. And in order to make all this a viable financial proposition in what is, as you know, a niche market, we have to work with budgets that might be diplomatically described as modest. Otherwise, it's never going to be cost effective. Now, talking of niche markets, I'm also one of the co-founders of BFI Flipside, which began as a screening strand here, but then later became a special imprint within BFI Video Publishing. Now, as I'm sure you know, this is a special collector's series of releases devoted to shining a light on archival British film and television that may have fallen off the critical radar or been perhaps torpedoed by some of those snootier big guns of conventional film criticism in the past. And we all know who they are. Now, in this influential series of releases of which we're very proud, we've showcased the unseen, the unusual, the forgotten, the flawed, the fabulous, curious curate's eggs, alongside under-acknowledged cult classics. Now, I'm sure you'll recall that umpteen years ago, I can't even remember what year, it's sometime a long time ago, we began with The Bed Sitting Room, Richard Lester's film, and Arnold Miller and Stanley Long's Primitive London. And would you believe it? It's still going strong. Right up to recent releases, Colin Gregg's Remembrance, which was number 48, I think, and Robert Wynne Simmons' The Outcast, number 49. And we are so lucky to have a devoted audience of discerning cineasts who share our love of these enough to collect them, which is great, and I really do thank you for that. Now, we like to surprise people with that series particularly, and I surprised myself with number 50, the most recent addition to the collection, which unearths an obscure TV series I wrote about in a book called The Bodies Beneath some years back. But I never thought that this program would actually ever see the light of day. It just didn't seem very BFI, you know, so I didn't think it was going to ever be seen on a disc, but I'm delighted to say that it has. Now, did you know that the Grandmaster of Horror, velvet-voiced Vincent Price, made a gloriously kitsch cookery series in England in 1970? You should, because Ben mentioned it a few minutes ago. But if you drifted off for a moment, and I know that can happen, and you didn't, you do now. And it's emerging from the ether of eternity on BFI Flipside Blu-ray right now. Crikey! So here to give you a flavour of that deliciously decadent full-fat programme that is Flipside 50, let's meet the Kitchen Master General himself, Vincent Price, in a clip from Cooking Priceways.
This, my friends, is the moment of terror. What will the souffle be like when it comes out of the oven? Your guess is as good as mine. I'm going to open here, give it a dramatic entrance, shall I? Oh, look at the gloves I got today. I have pajamas to match, of course. Now, get the souffle out. Hold your breath. Oh, it's a poem. It is a thing of beauty. Look at that. Look at that. Well, just remember how clever I was, and of course you can make one like that. Thank goodness.